Today we want to talk about why your business failed. This is by no means a comprehensive look at business success or failure. It's just a very narrow look at one of the factors that is never considered when you're reading up articles on business failure. Now, according to research by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, it shows that 46% of all small to medium enterprises fail within the first year of starting. And the next year, within the second year, an additional 15% fails. And by the third year, only 39% survive up till the third year. In 2016, they did a major research which showed that close to 400,000 small businesses did not see their second year. And 2.2 million of them closed up or failed during that period. So that between 2016 and 2021, 2.2 million small businesses closed in Kenya. That is staggering. Those are huge numbers. That's an incredibly high rate of failure. So that means that majority of the people in Kenya who start businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, chances are that they will fail within 5 years. Now, when you do the research, why do businesses fail? They usually say the usual things, lack of capital, poor location, external market forces that the entrepreneur doesn't control. But there's also something that I wanted to focus on. One of the reasons, which they have been covered, but I want to approach this from a slightly different angle. And I'm going to use my personal experience with Kenyan businesses. One of the problems that we have in Kenya is, as you very well know, very poor customer service. There is no culture of excellence or of reasonable service. And I believe personally this is a function of the fact that many people don't have critical thinking skills. Well, you may blame the education system, you may blame this or that, but this is a very widespread problem that we see in severely third world countries. I'll explain what I mean using this example. One day, I had a construction project, and I needed a particular item. I needed it's called a vanity top sink. So basically it's a sink that has a top, how do I describe this? It's a sink inbuilt in a counter. I don't know whether you've seen such a sink, but they're fairly common if you walk into any hotel. And it's a common product almost everywhere. In Kenya, it's not very popular, so it's not very easy to find, because most sinks, like in the bathroom, are usually standalone sinks. But I wanted this particular sink, a sink that is attached to a countertop with a backsplash. Now, I searched all over Kenya. I could not find any of the major shops selling such a sink. So I kind of gave up. And then one day, after a while, I saw a guy, selling it. It was a small business selling it online on one of these websites. And I was so excited because finally I had found this product. So I called the guy to initiate the process of buying. But as you very well know, in construction, size is everything, because you're fitting it, construction is, everything is customized. So you need to know the size, you need to know details. So I asked the seller, what is the size of the stock that you have? And I also tell him the size that I'm looking for. Now, to my surprise, the seller refuses to tell me the size. So I write him again. I tell him, our bathroom has a specific size and we were looking for a specific size. Does he have that size? He refuses. He replies and tells me that he will not tell me the size of the sink that he's selling. So I'm like, I need to know the size before I can make the purchase. He replies and says, he repeats again that he will not tell me the size of that sink, that I should buy whatever he has. Now you see, to me that is totally unreasonable. Because if you buy the wrong size and it doesn't fit into the area that has been built, what are you going to do with it? You know. So he refuses to tell me the size. Now you can decide, I mean, who knows why he refuses? But that's not even the point. What I'm driving at is that he refuses to cooperate with me, a serious customer, because I wanted to buy many of them. I wasn't buying one, I was buying many. He refuses to negotiate with me, a very serious customer, who has cash in hand. I wasn't even negotiating the price. I was like, I'm okay with the price. I just need to know, do you have the correct size that I need for my project? So unfortunately, and this is very telling, I contact a Chinese company. I know it's terrible, but I contact a Chinese company and I tell them my needs, and immediately, they immediately respond and send me a total product catalog. And they tell me, and in the catalog, you can see the colors, the designs, the sizes, everything that you need to know about that product. And they even tell me that if I need any other special size, they can immediately make it for me, because then they make the molds. Any size I want, if I cannot find in their catalog, and their catalog has like 16 different sizes. So out of those 16, if you cannot find the one that fits perfectly with your project, give us your dimensions, we will manufacture it for you. And this happens within one email. There is no back and forth. With the Kenyan company, there was a lot of back and forth. He never sent me any product catalog. He would not tell me the different colors he had or the sizes. Everything was a secret. You know, he wouldn't even be open with the exact cost. You know, and he would not negotiate, like I told you. So do you see how you end up going to a Chinese business? And so just think of this situation. That Chinese business will explode. Within 5 years, it will have almost quarter of the market. Why? So I want us to discuss that difference. What is the difference? What do you think the difference was? And I'm sure many of you have your similar stories. Anytime you're dealing with a Kenyan business person, you end up having incredible difficulties. Or out of very tiny issues, small petty issues that really don't, the total lack of professionalism. The fact that he probably did not have a catalog. Maybe he was refusing to tell me the dimensions because he doesn't know the dimensions. And even if you don't know the dimensions, you can actually take a tape measure and measure out your product and tell the customer. So do you see? So many of you have gone through that. So that at the end of the day, you are forced to go to a foreigner who is simply more efficient. But are they really more efficient? You may say they're more professional. Are they really more professional? What I'm driving at is this. What is the level of intelligence of these two companies, of these two business people? Because for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's a function of intelligence. It has to be. It has to be. It can't be a function of lack of education, because you'll discover that the Chinese dude probably is from high school and they ended up in Kenya. And the Kenyan dude has like a degree or something. So what is this difference that we see? Because all of us go through this and we end up spending our money with the foreigners in the country. And that's a huge reason why local businesses can never grow. So that even if you are to clear out all the foreign companies from Kenya, the economy would immediately implode. It would implode immediately. Why? Because Kenyans are never able to step up and dominate that economy out of sheer inefficiency or just lack of critical thinking skills. Because for me, it's obvious. If you're selling that kind of product, you do need a product catalog. And this is, for me, this is common sense. And I don't mean this in any rude way. I literally mean it's common sense. For example, when you go into a restaurant, almost every restaurant, in fact, all restaurants that you've ever been to, I'm sure of this, has a product catalog. They call it a food menu. I don't care whether they've written it on a blackboard outside, or whether it's printed, or whether it's on a TV screen. It doesn't matter. Every restaurant you'll ever go to has a product catalog. And in that product catalog, they show you the product, they show you the dimensions of the product, and they show you the price or the cost of the product. Now, if the people who run restaurants know to have a product catalog and know that the product catalog is what brings them sales, how come none of these other business people in Kenya seem to know or understand this? Because anytime you try to make a purchase of a product in Kenya, first of all, they refuse to tell you the price. And I'm like, this is unreasonable. You're selling a product and you will not tell me the price. I mean, who does that? You ask them, how much does this cost? They refuse to tell you. And most of you have faced this, that sellers in Kenya act as if the price of a product is a secret. Now, that's totally counterproductive, because how is the customer supposed to make a decision when they don't know the cost? And the other problem you'll have in Kenya is people overquote for small things. They seem not to price the product, they seem to price you. When you bring in a contractor, he will not cost the project. He will look you up and down and charge you according to what he perceives or how much he perceives you have. So he's not charging the work to be done. He's charging you, so that if you appear to be wealthy, the price goes up. If you appear to be not so wealthy, the price goes down. So how do you run a serious business that way? And so that's why they refuse to tell you the price up front, because it's a question of being totally dishonest. Like, the pricing mechanism is self-defeating. A better system would be to have a 3-tier system. This is what I mean. You can have a rate card, Every business should have a rate card as part of your catalog. Whether you're offering a service or goods, let's say for the service people, you can have a rate card. And it should have the first tier, which is called basic. So that you tell them, for me to do this work at a very basic level, I will charge you X amount. And then you can have a premium product. The same product you can tell the customer, however, if you want these enhancements, we do have a premium package for you, and it will cost you this much. Now, if the customer is even more wealthy and has even more money to spend, you can have a deluxe package and tell them, we also have a deluxe package. Not only are we going to do the basic and the premium, we will also add these additional elements, and it will cost you this. Because if you're having difficulty in pricing, you can have those 3 packages and offer them to every customer. Let them decide where they are, instead of trying to run a scam every single time. And so we see a problem of overpricing, consistent overpricing. The minute you call a contractor, they will overprice you so much that they price themselves out of a market. And so when the foreigner shows up in Kenya, they immediately have this 3-tiered system, and they take over the market with almost no effort. I always say that the rate of business failure in Kenya is simply occasioned by these things. And any foreigner showing even the slightest increase in intelligence immediately succeeds in Kenya. Almost with no effort. Almost any company, any foreigner from any country can show up in Kenya, and within 2 years, their business is booming. And yet, the same Kenyans who've been running in the same sector, they're running businesses in the same sector, they never seem to succeed even 20 years later. And you see this, you see the lack of corporate growth in Kenya. For example, if there's a guy who started, an entrepreneur who started, let's say, a shop, let's say hardware shop, that's a big shop. If you come back after 10 years, he's still there in that same shop, no growth. He doesn't own 2 shops or 3 shops or 4 shops. The same shop. Never grows. And when he grows old and dies, the shop is closed. The kids can't even run it. Almost there are no businesses that cross the generational line in Kenya. Almost none. They seem to die with the founder because they never get to the second stage of becoming a corporate business. So how do we change the business culture of Kenya, which is totally self-destructive? Do you require education? There is plenty of colleges and universities offering education. So how do you explain this failure to thrive? And many of these businesses are run by people who've been to professional colleges that deal with businesses. And the owners seem eager to succeed. They seem genuine in their desire to succeed in business. But somehow they never seem to make it. Of course, there are macroeconomic factors that affect them, like the interest rate, which has been deliberately calibrated by the government to collapse local businesses. That's why it's at I think 16%, which is outrageous. But besides that, why do Kenyan entrepreneurs shoot themselves in the foot? Why can't they see the simple things that they need to do that would result in them succeeding? The other problem that you see is the poor telephone culture. When you call a business in Kenya, first of all, they may refuse to answer. Second of all, they are not reasonable at all or professional at all in the way they answer the phone. And that can literally kill a business opportunity, because you're calling a business person because you want to inquire something. And the way they respond on phone with zero enthusiasm, it's like they don't want to talk to you. It's like you're wasting their time. And sometimes it's a huge purchase, and someone is being rude to you on the phone. You call them, you tell them, hey, good morning. They don't respond. Hello? They don't respond. So you remain silent and say, what did you want? And you're like, you're kidding me. That is your attitude. That is your attitude. You're going to go with that attitude towards a customer. For someone like me, I just hung up because I can't do it. I can't do it. For other people, I don't know how other people react, but that's how I react. And you see this consistently. And you see this also in very large organizations. Huge organizations. I remember there was a time I was processing, not even a loan, it was my own money. I wanted the bank to pay for a purchase. And they drew up the agreement. And they sent me the agreement. And this is a major bank in Kenya. And the agreement had spelling mistakes. I'm like, you're kidding me. You are kidding me. And this was a team effort because the department manager was involved. He had to sign. There were 3 signatories of 3 different people who had to approve of the transaction. And it had the most juvenile spelling mistakes. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. There's a total lack of seriousness by people who run businesses in Kenya. I was so shocked. I was so not impressed. But it's very telling. The shoddiness, the lack of excellence, the lack of excellence, the cutting corners. That's why businesses can never succeed. So what policy changes can be made or enacted to cause positive change within, entrepreneurship in Kenya? I believe there should be fines for lack of professionalism. We should have a carrot and stick approach. We can reward good behavior, but we should also punish bad behavior. There should be something like a business bureau where you can actually go to complain and companies get punished. Like if they are rude to you, you should be able to complain to a certain authority in government, and if the complaints reach a certain level, that company is automatically punished by being given a fine in order to improve their behavior. Because a country's economy will never grow if they don't produce great global companies. The economy can never grow if you don't have large companies based in your country spreading all over the world, or even regionally. You can never succeed. So the only way to deal with this behavior, because these people are educated, they're highly educated, it doesn't seem to change the behavior. They seem to be motivated to succeed, it doesn't seem to change the behavior. They are well traveled, that doesn't seem to change the behavior. I remember I met this lady and she wanted to start a restaurant business. And she started the restaurant business and she was having some problems. So anyway, we were having a conversation and she was in the construction phase. She had finished phase 1, but it wasn't working. There was a lot of difficulty in the hotel. Actually, it was a restaurant, in the restaurant. And just practical problems of, cooking and serving the food, the restrooms. There were plenty of customer complaints. So I said, let me see the floor plan of your restaurant. So she gave it to me. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, this is not a restaurant. This is a house. You've built a house and now you're trying to turn it into a restaurant. So I asked her, why would you build a house if what you want is a restaurant? I don't understand. Why would you do that? I was like, you have lived abroad for many years, right? Did you never go into any restaurant and see how they've laid it out? Because the problem that she was having was that the toilet was next to the kitchen and you had to pass through the kitchen to go to the toilet. Now these are customers having to pass through the kitchen, which was too small, to go into the toilet. I'm like, why would you do that? Why not go into the internet and just type in restaurant floor plan? And it will bring you many designs that make sense in terms of each area, the way they've designed it. Why would you do this? So how do you explain that? She was educated, she was highly motivated, she had traveled, so she knew things, and she had money. So how do you explain that you would build a house, like a regular house to live in, and make it into a restaurant? And this was not an afterthought. She was actually building a restaurant, except she built a house. How do you explain that? Does that make sense to you? And so she was having to demolish portions of the building because it simply was not working. The toilet had to be moved, the kitchen was in the wrong place, the sitting area was terrible. So she was having to demolish almost 70% of that building, and she was running out of money. So how do you explain that? And so we see that the failure to thrive by local entrepreneurs, I think for me it's a function of intelligence. Because I'm not seeing any other function that would cause someone not to see what is plainly obvious why they are failing. I simply don't see how you cannot see that. You don't even need many degrees to be able to spot the problems that Kenyan businesses have. Simple problems that arise from, the people being very scatterbrained. And we mean that in the most respectful way. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Kenya's time has come. Our time has come. Your time has come. A time to succeed and not fail. A time to grow wealth and not poverty. A time to go up and not down. It's time for you to stop walking and drive your car. Stop renting and buy yourself a house. It's your time to get blessed. Join the CCV movement, and together let us kick poverty and unemployment out of Kenya. Become a member today. Donate what you can. And remember that the CCV is the only political organization in Kenya that is squarely built upon Christian values, unlike the rest. We'll see you next time. Thank you.